They had it all: fame, success, millions of fans. But cancer doesn't care who you are. It tested their strength, broke them down, and forced them into the toughest battle of their lives. Some survived, some didn't. These are the celebrities who took on cancer. Number 26. Khloe Kardashian. 7 months. That's how long Khloe Kardashian stared at a tiny bump on her cheek and told herself it was just a pimple. It wouldn't go away. It didn't grow, didn't shrink, just sat there. When nearly half a year passed, she finally got it biopsied. The results came back fast, and they weren't good. It was a tumor. Doctors said it needed to come out immediately. For most people, that kind of news would be a first. For Khloe, it was a nightmare repeating itself. At just 19 years old, before the reality TV fame and the magazine covers, she had melanoma cut from her back. That early scare should have been a one-time thing, but skin cancer doesn't work that way. And the hardest part? Khloe had been doing everything right. Sunscreen every single day. None of it was enough to prevent a second diagnosis. Since then, she's used her massive following to tell people something that could save their lives. Check your skin. Don't brush off anything that looks strange, and don't wait 7 months like she did. Number 25. Hugh Jackman. 6 surgeries. That's how many times Hugh Jackman has gone under the knife to remove skin cancer from his body. The man who played Wolverine for over a decade, a character famous for healing from anything, has been fighting a battle that no superpower could fix. It started in 2013 when doctors found the first cancerous spot on his nose. He had it removed, thought it was behind him, and moved on. But the cancer kept coming back. A second procedure, then a third, then a fourth. Each time another spot, each time another scar. Growing up in Sydney, Jackman and his mates spent days outside without ever thinking about sunscreen. That carefree attitude caught up with him decades later. But instead of keeping it private, he started sharing everything. Every bandage, every biopsy update he put on social media, not for sympathy, because he knew people who admired him were making the same mistakes he made as a kid. In April 2023, after his 6th procedure, the biopsy finally came back clean. Jackman posted the news with obvious relief, but didn't let the celebration overshadow the point. Sunscreen is not optional. Not in summer, not in winter. Nobody gets a free pass. Not even Wolverine. Number 24. John Cena. Twice. That's how many times John Cena heard the words, "You have skin cancer." The first time, doctors found a cancerous spot on his right chest during a routine exam. A year later, another growth showed up near his shoulder. Both were surgically removed, but the message was loud and clear. Years of sun exposure had caught up with him. Growing up in Massachusetts and then moving to Florida, Cena spent his younger years outside without ever bothering with sunscreen. He's been honest about how stubborn he was. "I thought it wouldn't affect me," he admitted. "But eventually it caught up with me." After the second diagnosis, he decided to do something about it beyond just his own health. He teamed up with Neutrogena for a campaign called Sunscreen You Can't See, aimed at men who think sunscreen isn't for them. Coming from a WWE legend where toughness is everything, that kind of honesty hits different. Cena proved that admitting you were wrong takes its own kind of strength. Number 23. Ewan McGregor. 2 moles on his face, one of them sitting dangerously close to his eye. That's what doctors found when Ewan McGregor went in for a routine checkup back in 2008. He wasn't expecting bad news. He certainly wasn't expecting to hear the word cancer. But the specialist didn't hesitate. Those moles needed to come off now. Here was a guy who had ridden motorcycles across continents, played a Jedi Knight, and thrown himself into some of the most demanding roles in Hollywood. None of that mattered in a doctor's office with a diagnosis he never saw coming. McGregor had the surgery, recovered, and carried on. But that brush with cancer added something to his story that action scenes never could. Real bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's sitting in a clinic, hearing news you didn't want to hear, and deciding to deal with it. A father of 5 who still rides motorcycles every chance he gets, McGregor came out the other side knowing that taking care of yourself matters just as much as any adventure. Number 22. Clint Eastwood. Even Dirty Harry isn't bulletproof. Back in 1997, a small lesion on Clint Eastwood's left cheek turned out to be basal cell carcinoma. The man who built a career on being tough was sitting in a doctor's office hearing the word cancer. He had surgery to remove it, and it left a pinkish scar just under his left eye. For a while, Eastwood stayed away from cameras, uncomfortable being photographed while the wound healed. He never talked about it publicly, but the story eventually came out, and for fans used to seeing him as untouchable, it was a shock. Now in his 90s, Eastwood lives a life built around discipline, clean eating, daily meditation, and staying cautious in the sun. He may not have given speeches about skin cancer, but the way he lives says everything it needs to. Number 21. Jessie Tyler Ferguson. The Modern Family star handled his skin cancer the way he handles most things. Humor first, then a message you won't forget. In 2015, Jessie Tyler Ferguson had a tumor removed from his face. He didn't hide it. Instead, he posted on Instagram, thanking his doctor and joking that the makeup department on set was going to have their hands full covering the stitches. But underneath the laugh was a serious point. Ferguson is a redhead with fair skin. He knows that people with lighter complexions are at higher risk, and he used the moment to say what doctors wish more people would hear. Wear sunscreen. Don't skip your skin checks. And here's the detail that really makes his story hit different. Ferguson revealed that at every dermatology appointment, his doctors routinely remove small bits of skin to test. It's not because something always looks wrong. It's because they know catching it early is the only way to stay ahead of it. That's exactly how his cancer was found. Not because he saw something suspicious, but because his doctor was looking before it could become a bigger problem. Number 20. Andy Roddick. 12 years of silence. That's how long Andy Roddick kept his skin cancer a secret. The former US Open champion walked away from tennis in 2012. What nobody knew was that almost as soon as he retired, a different fight began. Skin cancer started showing up, and it didn't stop. Over the years, Roddick went through multiple procedures, including having a squamous cell carcinoma cut from his lip. He never said a word. Fans who noticed the redness on his face during public appearances had no idea what was behind it. Then, in May 2024, on his podcast Served, he finally broke his silence. He explained the laser treatments, the surgeries, the years of managing sun damage that had been building since his days grinding it out on outdoor courts under brutal heat. But Roddick made one thing clear. He wasn't looking for sympathy. He was sounding an alarm. His message was aimed at parents of young athletes and kids who spend hours outside without protection. Use sunscreen. Put sunscreen on your kids, especially if they're tennis players. Number 19. Teddi Mellencamp. More than a dozen tumors. That's the number Teddi Mellencamp has had removed from her body. Most people know her from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where she's known for being organized and in control. But skin cancer doesn't follow any schedule. On September 20th, 2023, she went in for what she expected to be a routine checkup. It wasn't. Another biopsy came back positive, another melanoma. That night she barely slept. But what sets Teddi apart is what she does the morning after. She gets up and talks about it. Every time she shares her story publicly, something happens. Her followers start booking their own skin checks. Appointment after appointment, sparked by one woman being honest about how scary this disease really is. She sticks to her 3-month screening schedule because at this point, it's the most important thing in her life. For anyone still putting off that dermatology visit, Teddi's story makes the case better than any pamphlet ever could. Number 18. Christie Brinkley. A supermodel with a scar and a warning. That's what Christie Brinkley became in 2024 when she told the world she'd had basal cell carcinoma removed from her face. She broke the news on Instagram with her signature humor, thanking her doctors for stitching her up like a custom Dior gown. But underneath the charm was a confession that carried real weight. She admitted she had waited too long. That small spot had been there, and she kept putting off getting it checked. Now Christie is serious about protection. SPF 30, reapplied throughout the day, long sleeves, wide-brimmed hats have become part of her signature look. Her message gets straight to the point. A small delay can turn into a massive problem. Take your skin seriously while you still have the chance. Number 17. Olivia Munn. Her mammogram came back clean. That's what makes Olivia Munn's story so unsettling. Munn starred in X-Men, Apocalypse, Magic Mike, and The Predator, but the toughest fight of her life wasn't on any set. She went in for a routine screening in early 2023 and everything looked fine. But her doctor didn't stop there. Using a risk assessment tool called the Tyrer-Cuzick calculator, he ran her numbers and got a 37% lifetime risk score. That led to more testing, and what they found was something the mammogram had missed completely. Luminal B breast cancer, aggressive and fast-moving in both breasts. She was 42. What followed was relentless. Within 10 months, Munn went through 5 surgeries, including a double mastectomy just 30 days after the biopsy, a lymph node dissection, and a partial hysterectomy. One procedure after another, barely any time to process before the next one started. By 2025, she began taking Arimidex, a medication that shuts down estrogen production to keep the cancer from coming back. The side effects have been tough. Exhaustion, body aches, and hormone levels bottoming out. But she's still fighting and telling every woman to get properly checked. Number 16. Melanie Griffith. When Melanie Griffith posted a selfie with a bandage across her nose in 2018, it wasn't a fashion statement. She had just finished treatment for basal cell carcinoma, a cancerous spot found right on her face. The photo showed the aftermath of dermabrasion, the final step in making sure every trace of the cancer was gone. She could have kept it private, but Griffith put it all out there, raw and unfiltered, because she wanted people to take action. Her message was blunt. If you see a spot that doesn't look right, don't sit on it, go see a doctor. The woman who starred in Working Girl proved that being honest about something painful can be more powerful than any role she's ever played. Number 15. Ben Stiller. A routine blood test. That's what saved Ben Stiller's life. In June 2014, at 48 years old, the actor behind some of the funniest movies of his generation got a call that changed everything. A PSA test flagged something wrong. An MRI and biopsy confirmed it. Intermediate-risk prostate cancer. 3 months later, Stiller went through a robotic-assisted surgery to have his prostate removed. It worked. He's been cancer-free for over a decade now. But what sticks with Stiller isn't the relief of beating it. It's the fact that he almost didn't catch it. At the time, many medical guidelines suggested men didn't need PSA testing until 55. Stiller was 48. If he had waited, the outcome could have been very different. He kept the diagnosis private for 2 years before going public in 2016, and his message was loud and clear. Get tested early. Don't wait for the guidelines to tell you it's time. He's been pushing for baseline PSA testing for younger men ever since. Number 14. Brooke Shields. A mole on her face, that's all it looked like. But when Brooke Shields had it examined in 2009, doctors told her it was precancerous, and the news shook her. Growing up in New York, she and her friends used to tan on rooftops, chasing color without a care in the world. Back then, the only thing anyone worried about was a bad sunburn at the beach. Nobody talked about what everyday sun exposure could do over time. Shields stopped tanning years before that diagnosis, but the damage was done. The sun keeps a record, and it doesn't care when you decide to change your habits. What happened in the past stays in your skin, sometimes surfacing decades later. Her experience became a reality check for anyone who thinks that quitting tanning means the risk is gone. Number 13. Ariana Madix. Doctors kept telling her she was fine. For years, Ariana Madix raised concerns about a spot on her body, and every time she was told there was nothing to worry about. But something didn't feel right, and she refused to let it go. That persistence saved her life. When a biopsy was finally done, the result was melanoma. By the time it was caught, it had reached stage 1. She had surgery immediately, followed by a lymph node biopsy to make sure it hadn't traveled further. It hadn't. Back in December 2018, she had quietly posted about it on Instagram, making it sound almost casual. But behind that post was something far more serious. Speaking to the Skin Cancer Foundation years later, she revealed the tumor had likely been growing much longer than anyone realized. Since beating it, Madix has completely changed how she lives. No more tanning, ever. Sunscreen is non-negotiable. And her biggest piece of advice is something every person should hear. If something feels wrong, push for answers. Don't let anyone dismiss what your body is trying to tell you. Number 12. Witney Carson. She was 19 years old, about to step onto one of the biggest stages of her life on Dancing with the Stars. Everything she had worked for was finally happening. And then came the diagnosis: melanoma. Here she was, young, fit, the picture of health on camera, and behind the scenes, doctors were telling her she had skin cancer. Doctors removed a mole along with several lymph nodes to stop the disease from spreading. But Witney didn't tell anyone on the show. Not the producers, not her dance partner, nobody. She went through surgery and recovery in silence, showing up to performances like nothing was wrong. When she finally opened up years later, it hit people hard. The girl they watched dancing on national television had been carrying a secret that could have changed everything. Number 11. Andy Cohen. A dark spot on his lip. That's what Andy Cohen kept ignoring. He didn't think much of it. He might have gone on ignoring it if it weren't for his close friend Kelly Ripa. She saw it and didn't hold back. "That looks like skin cancer. Get it checked." He listened. And she was right. The diagnosis came back as melanoma, and it turned Cohen's world upside down. For someone who loved the sun and chased that golden tan without thinking twice, this was the price tag nobody warns you about. After treatment, the tanning days were over. Sunscreen became part of his life in a way it never had been before. His experience proved something a lot of people still don't want to accept. Looking healthy on the outside doesn't mean you are, and sometimes the person who saves your life isn't a doctor. It's the friend who cares enough to speak up. Number 10. Ninja. Tens of millions of followers watching his every move, and the warning came from his wife noticing a mole on the bottom of his foot. Richard Tyler Blevins, known as Ninja, was just 32 years old when that mole turned out to be melanoma. His wife Jessica had a gut feeling about it during a routine skin check. Doctors removed it as a precaution, but the biopsy came back worse than expected. And there was more. A second suspicious spot nearby was also taken out just to be safe. Both were caught early before anything could spread. Ninja went straight to social media with a message that was simple and direct. Get checked. Don't assume you're too young or too healthy for this. Number 9. Kevin Jonas. Lying on a doctor's table, camera rolling, Kevin Jonas pointed to a small spot on his forehead and said 3 words that stopped his fans cold. It's skin cancer. In June 2024, the oldest Jonas brother shared a video of himself getting ready for surgery to remove a basal cell carcinoma. He was calm about it, but the message was urgent. At 37, a father of 2, he was dealing with something fame couldn't prevent. Basal cell carcinoma is the most common form of skin cancer, and because of that, people tend to brush it off. But left alone, it grows. Jonas knew that sharing his experience could reach people making that exact mistake. Number 8. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. One day, that's the gap between the best moment of her career and the worst news of her life. In September 2017, Julia Louis-Dreyfus won her 6th consecutive Emmy for Veep. The next morning, she was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. She was 56. She had planned to keep it private, but treatment meant shutting down production on Veep, and once that happened, keeping it a secret wasn't possible. So she went public. What followed was a double mastectomy and 6 rounds of chemotherapy. For someone who spent decades making people laugh, this was the furthest thing from funny. But she got through it. By October 2018, she announced she was cancer-free. Number 7. Caitlyn Jenner. One photo. That's all it took. Caitlyn Jenner posted an image on Instagram showing her nose wrapped in a red bandage. And the message hit harder than any long statement could have. "I recently had to get some sun damage removed from my nose," she wrote. "PSA, always wear your sunblock." Short, simple, and impossible to ignore. It was later confirmed that the spot was a basal cell carcinoma. Jenner didn't go into much detail beyond that, but the picture told the story on its own. As a former Olympic gold medalist, Jenner spent a lifetime outdoors, training for the decathlon, years of golf, decades under the California sun. That kind of exposure adds up, and by the time it shows itself, the damage is done. What made her post land so hard was how stripped down it was. No long speech, no dramatic reveal, just a bandaged nose and a reminder. Wear sunscreen. Number 6. Harry Jowsey. A spot on his shoulder that had been sitting there for over a year. That's what turned out to be skin cancer for Harry Jowsey. The reality TV star, known from Too Hot to Handle and Dancing with the Stars, went to the dermatologist on a gut feeling. But doctors found a cancerous spot that had been hiding in plain sight, completely under the radar. Jowsey took the news to TikTok, where he told his followers straight up, "There's really no easy way to say this." He was calm about it, reassured everyone he'd be okay, but made it clear this wasn't something to brush off. His advice came with the kind of humor that made people actually pay attention. "If you're a freckly little frog like me, get your moles mapped and get checked." Behind the joke was a real message. Skin cancer doesn't care how young you are or how healthy you look. It can sit on your body for months without making a sound. Jowsey proved that talking about it openly can push other people to finally book the appointment they've been putting off. Number 5. Rosie O'Donnell. A small lump near her left eye. It had started to crust over, and something about it didn't sit right with Rosie O'Donnell. Most people would have waited it out, but Rosie had learned the hard way that ignoring warning signs can cost you. Back in 2012, she survived a heart attack. In 2010, she had a breast cancer scare. By the time this lump showed up in September 2024, she knew better than to wait. She got it checked. The diagnosis was basal cell carcinoma. Thankfully, it was caught early. Surgery followed quickly and she made a full recovery. But Rosie didn't just move on and forget about it. She went on social media and told her followers exactly what happened, warning them that even the smallest bump can turn out to be dangerous. After everything she's been through, Rosie's voice carries a different kind of authority. She's not just sharing advice. She's speaking from experience. Number 4. Kathy Bates. 2 different cancers, 2 different decades, and a complication that would change her life forever. Kathy Bates, the Oscar winner who scared the world as Annie Wilkes in Misery, has been through more behind the scenes than most people realize. Her first battle came in 2003 when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Surgery and chemotherapy got her through it. But 9 years later, in 2012, breast cancer showed up. This time, Bates chose a double mastectomy. She survived, but the surgery came with a cost nobody warned her about. Doctors removed 19 lymph nodes, and that triggered lymphedema in both arms. It's a condition where fluid builds up because the lymphatic system can't drain properly. It's painful, limiting, and permanent. Instead of letting it define her, Bates fought back. She dropped 80 pounds through diet and lifestyle changes and started managing the swelling with compression garments. And then she did something that went beyond just saving herself. She became a national spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, giving a voice to people with a condition most of the public has never heard of. At 76, she's still acting, still advocating, and still proving that survival is just the beginning. Number 3. Sarah Ferguson. 1 surgery, 2 cancers. That's what happened to Sarah Ferguson in the span of a few months. It started in June 2023 when a routine checkup revealed early-stage breast cancer. She moved fast, undergoing a mastectomy along with reconstructive surgery. But during that same operation, doctors removed several moles to test them. And one of those tests came back with a result nobody expected: melanoma. Months later, in January 2024, she received her second cancer diagnosis. More surgery followed to remove the surrounding tissue and check her lymph nodes. The relief came when results confirmed the melanoma hadn't spread. She didn't need chemotherapy or immunotherapy, but the road ahead still meant ongoing skin treatments and constant monitoring. Sarah called it a bombshell. For someone who spent her life in the public eye as a member of the royal family, this was the kind of news that stripped everything else away. But with her daughters by her side, she fought through it. By May 2024, Princess Beatrice confirmed that her mother had made a full recovery and was doing well at 64. Number 2. Janelle Brown. What she thought was an old cold sore turned out to be cancer. In 2021, Sister Wives star Janelle Brown noticed a mark on her upper lip that looked like a fading scar. She didn't think much of it, but when she finally had it checked, the diagnosis was basal cell carcinoma. She went through surgery and recovered. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. In March 2024, during a routine skin exam, doctors found 2 more precancerous spots and a brand new tumor growing on her lip. The tumor was removed, and the other areas were treated with cryotherapy to stop them from getting worse. What makes Janelle's story stand out is that she was doing everything right. Sunscreen, being careful. And it still came back. She shared every step on social media because she wanted people to understand something. Sunscreen alone isn't enough. You have to show up for regular skin checks, even when you feel fine. The cancer she caught in 2024 was found during one of those visits. Without it, she might not have caught it in time. Number 1. Cybill Shepherd. A rough, scaly patch on her back that wouldn't go away. That's what sent Cybill Shepherd to the doctor in 2002. The moonlighting star noticed it and trusted her instincts enough to get it checked. The diagnosis was something most people have never heard of: dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, or DFSP, a rare form of skin cancer. Shepherd had surgery to remove the tumor, but it left a visible scar. She later chose cosmetic surgery to help cover it. But the physical mark was only part of what stuck with her. The emotional impact ran deeper. Before the diagnosis, Shepherd loved the sun. After it, everything changed. She never leaves home without covering her skin now. She speaks openly about early detection and trusting your gut when something doesn't look or feel normal. Her story is proof that skin cancer doesn't always come in familiar forms. Sometimes the only reason you catch it is because you didn't ignore the signs. Don't miss the videos on screen now. They're just as interesting. Catch you in the next one.